Okay, so here's practice exam number 2. First question we're supposed to solve. How do we do this? We cross multiply. So I'll bring it up here. This means t times 12 equals t minus 8 times t plus 8. In fact, I'm going to, well, here, let's keep going. So that's 12t, and then we distribute. So we get t squared plus 8t, distribute, minus 8t minus 64. These cancel. So we get 12t is t squared minus 64. Now, what are we supposed to do at this point? How do we solve this thing? Whenever you have x squared or t squared or whatever with an equal sign, the first step is to get a 0. Second step is to factor with parentheses. Step 3 is each part equals 0 and solve. That's how you do it. So when you see x squared or t squared or whatever, first step is to get a 0. And, I should say more than that. When you have x squared with an equal sign, step 1, get 0 on the opposite side from x squared. So t squared, x squared, whatever, is on this side, the right side. So you want to get 0 on the opposite side. So I want to make this side become 0. How do I make, right, the opposite side? You grab this guy and you jump him over. When something jumps over, it switches signs. Minus 12t. And now we factor that. So let's say what multiplies and adds to the diamond. What multiplies to be minus 64. Adds to be minus 12. What's that? You can take your calculator and divide by different things. I'm thinking 8 and 8, no. 4 and 16, that's it, 4 and 16. Sign on the bottom goes in the bigger. So plus 4 minus 16 will do it. So then this factors t plus 4, t minus 16. So that's step 1, get a 0. Step 2, factor with the parentheses, got it. Step 3 now, each one equals 0. So, right, because these are two things timesing to equal 0. So that means either one could be 0 to make that true. So t plus 4 could be 0 itself, or t minus 16 could be 0. That means t is minus 4 or plus 16, right? When you jump it to the other side, they switch signs. Two answers, minus 4 and plus 16. There's number 1. Okay, so what are we supposed to do first on this problem? So when we have fractions, we've got to first factor. So this denominator right here, let me bring this down. It's going to be 4x minus 4 over. I don't factor that top. I'm not going to factor that 4x minus 4. I don't care about numerators, just factor denominators. So how do we factor this? Well, we want two numbers that multiply to be minus 6, add to be 5. You can do the diamond. I'm just going to skip to it. What's it going to be? 6 and 1. You might think it's 6 and 1 plus 6 minus 1. Oh yeah, that is it, huh? Because those add to be plus 5, multiply to be negative 6. If you thought it was 2 and 3 like that, that's not quite right, or plus, it just won't work. So it's 6 and 1. Okay. All right, I should have guessed it. Look over here. Here's the 6 and the 1, of course. So 4 over x plus 6, 1 over x minus 1. Okay, so what's the common denominator here? It's x plus 6, x minus 1. What do you do about it? You multiply every term by it. X plus 6, x minus 1. And then the middle. X plus 6, x minus 1. And then the right side. X plus 6, x minus 1. So, and then you cancel whatever you can. Cancel. Brings down 4x minus 4. Here, x plus 6 cancels, and we have the 4. Going to multiply the x minus 1. Here, the x minus 1s cancel. 1 times x plus 6. Distribute. So 4x minus 4 plus 4x minus 4. Distribute. X plus 6. 4x, 8x, minus 4 is minus 8. All right, how do we get x alone? We subtract x from both sides. So that gives me 7x minus 8 is 6. And then add 8 to both sides. 7x is 14, read up here. 7x is 14, last step. Divide by 7. X is 2. So there's the answer to number 2. Okay, so number 3, I'll bring it over here. It's R. Well, here, let's go fresh green. R equals V over J. So number 3, R equals V over J. I want you to solve for J. So for J. So how do you solve for J? Well, put this over 1, diagonal, diagonal. RJ is 1 times V. That means RJ is just V. 1 times V is just V. What are we trying to get alone here? We want J, so divide by R. Boom. J is alone. J is V over R. Make sure when you type it in, all caps. All these letters are capitals. So when you type in the answer, use all capitals. Sometimes it does have lowercase letters. You have to follow whatever case they use. Okay, so number 4 talks about the ratio of the weight of an object on planet A to planet B is 100 to 3. So A to B ratio means a fraction. A to B is 100 to 3. A to B is 100 to 3. If an elephant is 4,500 on A, so A is on the top, so 4,500 on A, what will it be on B? X. So we got to solve that equation. Diagonal, diagonal. 100 times X is 3 times 4,500. That means 100X is whatever 3 times 4,500 is. It's going to be 13500, 13,500. Bring it down here. How do we finish solving for x? Divide by 100. So then x equals, these zeros cancel, 135. So the elephant would only weigh 135 pounds on that planet. Wow. Okay, here's number 5. It says 6 times the reciprocal of a number. That's 6 times 1 over x equals 2 times the reciprocal of 9. 2 times 1/9. So 6 times 1 over x equals 2 times a 9th. What does that mean? Well, whenever a whole number is interacting with a fraction, put it over 1, put it over 1. So it goes to the top, and the 1 times x on the bottom, that would be 6 over x. And the 2 goes to the top, and the 1 to the 9 on the bottom, 2/9. How do we solve that now? Diagonal, diagonal. 6 times 9 is 2 times x. 54 is 2x. Last step to get x alone. Divide by 2. What's that? 27. X is 27. The number is 27. Okay, so one person can do a job in 6 hours. The other person needs 8 hours. If they work together, how long? So the formula for working together, this is a working together problem. There'll for sure be one of these on the exam, working together. It's 1 over A plus 1 over B equals 1 over together. So that would be 1 over 6 plus 1 over 8 equals 1 over x. So how do we solve that? We got to multiply through by the common denominator. You can just go 6 times 8 is 48 times x, 48x. You actually could use 24x also. That is the lowest common denominator, but this will be fine. I'll just do 48x 48x, multiply through by that, and then cross cancel. So 6 goes into 48 8 times. That gives me 8x plus. Then 8 goes into 48 6 times. 6x equals x cancels x. So that's why we got to make sure we remember to use x up there, not just 48, but 48x all the way through the top in the red. Now, solve this. This is 14x is 48. Last step to get x alone, divide by 14. And x equals, let's see, we can reduce that fraction, divided by 2. Top bottom would be 24/7. Here's the answer. Okay, so here's number 9. So number 7, travel problem. Car travels 468 miles in the same time. Motorcycle travels 408 miles. The car's speed is 10 miles per hour more, 10 more, that's x plus 10, than the motorcycle. All right, so what equation do we always use? Distance equals rate times time, the dirt equation for travel. Okay, so we have the car and the motorcycle. So the car travels 468 miles. That's the distance for the car. The motorcycle, 408. That's the distance for the motorcycle. The car's speed is 10 more. So the rate, x plus 10 for the car, just x for the motorcycle. Right? 10 more is always x plus 10. So how do we get the t boxes now? Well, remember when you have the relationship d equals r times t, and you want t, that's what I want. I want those two boxes that are under t. How do you solve for t? Divide by r. T is d over r. So d over r. 468 over x plus 10. D over r. 408 over x. So then I grab this and set them equal to each other. Why? Why are they equal? Because it says same time. And those are underneath t. Those are both times. So they're same. They're equal. So now we need to solve this. So we go diagonal, diagonal. 468x. That's 408. X plus 10. Distribute, distribute. 408x plus 408 times 10 is 4080. Alright, how do we finish getting x alone here? Well, first off, we subtract 408x from both sides. That leaves us with what? 60x and 4080. And last step to get x alone there. Divide by 60x equals whatever 4080 over 60 is. Checking my calculator here. 68. So x is 68. Let me change the color there. Make it look a little better. So x is 68. So now, careful. X may or may not be the actual answer to the question. So how do we know? What do we do? Well, what are they asking for? The speed of the motorcycle and the speed of the car. Where do we find the speed? X is the key to unlock any box we want. What box do we go to? Where's the speed? Right here is the speed. Put in the x there is 68. 68 plus 10, the car's speed is 78. And right here put in x is 68. The motorcycle is 68. It's the rate, right? Rate is speed. So I plugged 68 in for both x's and got the car is 78. The motorcycle is 68 speed. Okay, complex fraction. So what do we do with complex fraction? We've got to multiply top and bottom by the denominator, the y, the extra denominator, the y minus 3. Cancels here, cancels here. What do we get? I kind of went over the top of that a little bit. So that'll be 3 times y minus 3 plus 6, because these are gone. And then this one is y times y minus 3 plus 2. And distribute. 3y minus 9 plus 6. Distribute y squared minus 3y plus 2. Where does that? Let's bring it over here. We got 3y minus 3 on the top. The bottom, this will factor. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 2, add to be minus 3. What multiplies to be 2? Adds to be minus 3. 1 times 2, if they're both negative, they'll add to be negative 3, and two negatives multiply to be positive. So this is, or it's y, not x. It's y minus 1, y minus 2. Good so far. And then one last step, you can also factor the top. Take a 3 out of the top. See how it's 3y minus 1? And then these cancel. Final answer, 3 over y minus 2. We always have to try that factoring stuff in the end to see if we can reduce these complex fractions. So number 9, another complex fraction. We have a y squared and a y as the extra denominators. So we're going to have to multiply through by the common denominator, which would be y squared. Y squared, y squared, and y squared. Here it cancels, so we get 2y squared from these guys. Here, this cancels one of those, and we get 16y. Down here, y squared times 1 is just y squared, minus 64. So factor, how do we factor now? On the top, we can take out a 2 and a y. Leaves y plus 8. If you multiply, it'd be 2y squared, be 16y. On the bottom, how do you factor that? Y plus 8, y minus 8. And then you see what can happen. These cancel, so we get 2y over y minus 8. We can't cancel anymore. For example, we can't cancel these y's. Why not? Because the one on the bottom has a minus sign. Pluses and minuses glue things together. This down here is a package deal. You buy all of it like that, you cancel the whole thing, or nothing. You can't take just part of it. It's a package deal. Pluses and minuses glue things together. So that's it. It's as far as we can go. Okay, so in this one they're saying find the equation. So we got a slope and we got a point. So what do we always do on these? We write slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. And so now what we're going to have to do is take the slope and put it right there. And then the point, this is the x, this is the y. That's going to go in the back of the x and the y. So we have slope is a half. And I'm going to plug in the x in the back of the x and the y in the back of the y, like that. So now, what do we got to do from there? Diagonal, diagonal, cross multiply. So bring it up to here. What do we get? 1 times x plus 6, right? The double negative there becomes positive, equals 2 times y minus 2. Distribute. X plus 6, distribute. 2y minus 4. So what are we supposed to do now? We're supposed to get y alone. It says once y alone. So how do I get y alone? I gotta add this 4 over to the other side. So 2y is x plus 10. Last step, divide 3 by 2. When we divide all three of them, right? So we've got y alone. It's x over 2 plus 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So there we go. We got y alone.